Hi there, it's Catherine, and I am the founder and co director of Lipedema Simplified, Lipedema Project. Mostly, I have lipedema and lymphedema, and I'm running late today. So, if you're here, thank you for hanging out and waiting. I did put a message in. So, I want to talk about pivoting today. Such a word. It's called pivot. And I'm going to look up the definition because I think it's worthy. Something turns. The definition: turn on as if on a pivot, the central point pin or shaft on which a mechanism turns or oscillates. So you're heading in one direction, and all of a sudden, you're going in a different direction. I have to say that I feel like my life has been an example of pivoting. I was headed in one direction and boom, something shifted. So I want to talk about it very specifically. So I had my day planned. I do Sunday morning walking. Um, it's a whole other story. Everything always has many stories embedded in it. The bottom line is, I had plans to be with a wonderful lipedema lady um, to get to her place in New Hampshire, which is about an hour's drive for me. And we were going to be doing this together. And her husband got ill. He's fine. It's not COVID. It's easily treatable. And thank goodness that they were wise enough to get some medical intervention. So he's fine. But it changed my plans for the entire day. And one of the things that I am so aware of, and I share this with you just because it's my particular belief system, and it's more than my particular belief system, it's the way that I found life works for me, which is when I think I'm going this way and there's another way that happens, there's usually something that was supposed to happen. And each time I do that, a part of me goes, oh, that's why that happened. So I want to go back many years. So my background, and I talk about it frequently, is in the 12 steps. I got into Overeaters Anonymous in the mid 80s. I lost and maintained a 140-pound weight loss for 27 years, which was pretty amazing. And those last few years were a struggle because no matter what I was doing that had worked for 25 years wasn't working anymore. What did that mean? That meant that I was eating everything that a good low-cal person would eat. I was eating a lot of fish. I was eating a lot of kale and Swiss chard and greens. It's the foods that they tell you are going to reduce weight. Didn't happen. Not only didn't it happen, but I gained weight and I couldn't figure it out. Well, I am going to be telling a more in-depth version of this at the upcoming October event, which I'll mention in a little bit. But it turned out that I have lipedema. Had surgery because of complications, didn't know it was lipedema, ended up with lymphedema. So how does one pivot with this? This battleground that I call my body, this battleground at war with me, with myself, is one step at a time. Really 1 minute at a time, some days. And our community is what grew out of that for me. The thing that I knew that I needed more than anything else. Gail laughs at me, but I keep saying that I needed to have playmates in the sandbox. Is I knew that together we would figure out, we would find ways together. Hi, Marilee, Stina, and Julie. Some messages just saying hi. Thank you so much for leaving me a message. It's always good to know somebody's out there. So together is what seems to make the difference for me. Now, we were having a conversation on Friday with Gail and Leslyn and Siobhan. Gail and I are both extroverts, and Siobhan and Leslyn are introverts. And so, you know, they process more internally. Gail and I process, we blah, 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 blah. It's one of the reasons I love doing this vlog. I love this. This is like my favorite time of the week. I love to be able to just share with you what's going on about the matters that matter so deeply to all of us. Hi, Atina. Atina's coming in from Croatia. Julie's from, I think Julie's from Tennessee. For some reason, that's what's coming to me. But Julie is a recent tribe member. Welcome, welcome, welcome. A whole bunch of others. Hi, Kim and Lisa. And great. Thank you all. When I started doing this, you know, like I had the feeling, well, I'm going to do this and no one's ever going to show up. And so slowly over the months, people have been coming. Thank you for coming. So, this thing about together and how life never is a straight line. It's never, I'm going to do A and then I'm going to do B and then I'm going to do C. Most of the time, it's a squiggly thing that happens as we're trying to plan for whatever it is we think is the right way to go. So much so with lipedema. And so, part of what I'm in the midst of, and I want to talk about it a little bit with you guys because I'm like so psyched about it, is some months ago, I really had this big aha. We have lots of information. I mean, we have been studying this, we've done research projects, we've read all the literature, we've worked with a number of the top people all around the world about lipedema and lymphedema, about keto. So we can tell you a lot, and we do. I mean, we have webinars. We just had a fabulous webinar with Brian Haywood on pain management. He's been helping so many of us alleviate pain that's associated with lipedema. So that was on Friday, and we're planning a number of them. But in October, we're planning our 3-day, what used to be a symposium. What's a symposium? Well, a symposium is we have experts from around the world. They come and they talk and they give their point of view, their research, what they know about a particular topic. And ours is usually the holistic approach to lipedema and lymphedema, and what works and why it works and how it works. So, so that's a traditional conference, congress, symposium. Well, one of the things that we discovered is no, this is a community that learns so much from one another. We learn from each other. That's at the core of it. And so, our October, what used to be called a symposium, is now called an event we're having, and the title of it is Heart to Heart. Heart to Heart. Isn't that wonderful? We can't figure out who named it. We did it together as a group conversation, Siobhan, Leslyn, Gail, and myself. And oh my God, when we finished with it, it was the perfect title. Heart to Heart, a 3-day collaborative event for us to, one, We will be listening to experts. We will be getting information. They will be chunk size. And then we'll have time to interact with one another. The conversation that happens between all of us, I consider to be, um, I consider to be just the best. And and so that's what we're doing in October. The dates are October 21, 22, and 23. I think I have a banner. I'm only at the save the date phase. We don't have any registration information yet. Here it is. This is the save the date phase. Heart to Heart, a collaborative 3-day virtual event. And before Heart to Heart, we have lipedema and lymphedema. In fact, let me, I'm gonna add it in. Hold on. So, yeah, save the dates. This is the save the date because it's like I used to be able to do more than one thing at once. Here it is now. Okay, lipedema and lymphedema, Heart to Heart, a collaborative 3-day virtual event. And the collaboration, well, we're collaborating with each other. We're collaborating with Lymphatic Education and Research Network, LEARN, which has a wonderful outreach. And but mostly we're collaborating with you, each other, so that you have knowledge. And when you bring that and share that, it expands our knowledge. It expands our group. It expands our tribe. And that's what we're doing. And so when I talk about pivoting, you know, at different times, I've tried to sit down and put together long-term plans. That's never totally worked for me. I can put something together and it's good and we have a framework and I do that, but I always leave room for the surprises that the universe presents. And so often they're just amazing, just amazing. So I'll share one last very quick story with you. So I've had a lymphatic massage therapist for years, since 2011. And recently she had some physical issues of her own. So she stopped being able to do massage. She does massage and lymphatic work, both. So she did a lot of very deep tissue work, breaking up adhesions and really keeping me from getting fibrotic. We'll talk about that at another time. So I've looked and I've tried a couple of other places and they're okay. Anyway, to make a long story short, I got a Groupon. I got a Groupon a few months ago. It was a while ago. And why, I don't know, but yesterday I went because it was for lymphatic drainage. And I thought, nah, they're not going to know what they're doing because it's, it's a massage place. It's not someone that's trained. I got in and got under on the massage table and under the covering and the whole thing. And she said, I'm going to open up your lymphatic channels. And she put her hands right here, both of them, which are two of the main lymphatic channels. And she massaged very gently. And I said to her, did you train with Chickley? Because I know his technique. I know different MLD. I know different manual lymphatic drainage styles. And she said, yes, that's who I train with. How did you know? And it ended up being a really good manual lymphatic drainage session. So I went ahead and scheduled for at least the next couple of weeks. And then to make things even more delightful, they have other services there. And I partook of a couple of other services, including a facial and infrared sauna type thing. So it was a gentle day, and I had labeled my day self care, gentle self care, and it happened. So, my bottom line for this week is you never know what's going to show up, and every pivot is not necessarily something that's taking you out of your way, but maybe taking you exactly where you need to be. With that, I'm going to say many blessings. Have a wonderful week. And I will see, well, definitely I'll see you next week, but I'll probably see you in between as well. Bye.